Sure.
Bring up this YouTube video we got mentioned in.
Yeah, our fins hurt.
Well, so yeah, look. Opie posted a video yesterday on his YouTube channel. He's been hinting and being mysterious about what he's going to do. We said it yesterday. I don't know.
We
I'll speak
really
for
don't
myself.
know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I don't know what Opie's doing. I don't know what we're doing.
Should we play the video? So just play it. We might as well. I mean, we have to, if we're going to talk about it, we should play it. It's hard to understand some of the audio.
Okay.
But he was in like an aquarium.
Good morning, lamb chops. This is Opie, and I want to thank everyone that reached out to me trying to figure out what's going on with me and the future of my radio show. And, well, here you go. I feel like I have to tell you something. I do not do morning radio anymore. I do not do radio with Jim Norton anymore. I found out through my agent that Jim Norton will continue with Sirius. I believe he signed a contract a couple of weeks ago, according to my agent. And it looks like he'll be doing a show with Sam Roberts. I think that's pretty obvious to everyone. I have not been fired. Sirius, who has been very good to me over the years.
There are sharks on the screen.
Yes, there are.
We're trying to figure out what that's going to be. So, I'm satisfied with what they have offered. So, let me leave you with a little lesson. Keep your head on a swivel, because you never know.
Now, he was correct and incorrect about me signing. You know, I'm kind of glad that he made the announcement, not let me make it. But the reality is this. So I've kind of hinted at it or said that I was signed at one point. But what happened was I signed the contract, and then it was Sirius wanted to change something in it. Minor. It was a minor thing. So technically, my contract was not signed until last night. Mm-hmm. And as far as you and I have done some shows together, and as far as what we're going to do, we don't have anything official. I know what I would like to do, but literally they have not promised us anything because everything is up in the air because he's not signed, so they don't know what he's doing.
Right.
You know, but to imply, look, yeah, I don't care if somebody takes a shot, but to imply that we're like sharks who are waiting in the water. You know, like trying to, and that's how I took this, and keep your head on a swivel, like watch your back. The reality is this. I found out a while ago that he was trying to have me taken, have less days on the show. My agent, who's also Opie's agent, said to me, how would you feel doing like 2 or 3 days a week, or whatever? And I'm like, well, does he want, you know, basically, Bob had to tell me because he represents both of us. And so if that's going to be a possibility, it wasn't like Bob is running back going, psst. It's his job. He has to inform me. So Opie wanted to, I guess, have other guys come in and have me do 2 or 3 days because we weren't enjoying each other. It wasn't some hate-fueled walk-in, fuck you, but I mean, we both felt that vibe. I felt that Opie felt, you know.
And by the way, like, as somebody who was not on the morning show anymore but listened, you said on the air that you weren't going to do the show anymore.
Yeah.
Like months ago.
But that was after I found out, and I didn't say that on the air, I don't think, that he was trying to have me, I don't want to say replaced, but he was trying to have my days cut. He said to me and he never talked to me about it, but he did say to me in the hallway one time, which is true. He goes, just so you know, man, that's not true what Bob told you, or he told you wrong, or whatever. But it was also confirmed from somebody else. Mm-hmm. That, and it's like, look, you know, I'm not a guy who runs around bragging about, oh, I'm great at this or that, but I know that I can be really funny on the fucking radio. So I got really aggressive at one point when it's like, dude, you know, I know we're not doing an amazing radio show together. Let's be real honest. He knew it and I knew it. But, you know, you're going to take these other guys and you think they're going to be funnier than me on the radio show. Well, I got to kind of stick up for myself. That's just not the way it is. So I was just like, fuck this, I'm leaving. You want them? Take them, fuck them. But then I found out that the company, no, they actually do want me to stay. Because I always assumed that they would just be like, well, we want him and fuck Jim. That was kind of how I felt that they felt. But then I found out that they had, I guess, done some research or whatever, and they found out that I was equally popular I'm not saying that to be arrogant, but we want you to stay. So then I was like, okay, but I want to stay, but I don't want to work with him, and he didn't want to work with me. So that's kind of how this whole thing unraveled. But it wasn't like we're just sitting there hoping he doesn't sign. Look, here's how I found out he wasn't going to be here this week. He's still under contract for the old contract, and so am I. I'm still on my old contract. The new contract has not begun. We get an email saying the last Opie and Jim show will be Thursday of last week. That was what the email said.
When did you get it?
Earlier in that week.
Okay.
Maybe Monday or Tuesday. I'm like, really? Like, I had no idea that like, I knew that we were coming to an end, but I didn't know it was going to be 5 shows early. And I'm like, okay, I guess he's like, yeah, he's taking the week off. And then Thursday, he's not here. He has a family emergency. So I sent him a text. I said, I hope your family's okay. He wrote back, thanks, Jimmy. And the next thing I saw was just pictures of him on the beach. So that's what I know. Mm-hmm. But as far as us being sharks who were plotting, we enjoy hanging together, so I'm hoping we do something. But don't act like we were just plotting motherfuckers. It's like, you're trying to have me replaced. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, and I've been pretty clear throughout the whole process of everything that I've done that Opie's given me just about every opportunity I've had. Like, I've kind of expressed nothing but loyalty to Opie.
Right, which is why most of us dislike him, because he's given you opportunities.
That's the real crux of this. but I still feel that way. You know, and that's not anything that will ever change, and that's not anything that will ever go away. You know, he is the person that's put me in most of the positions that I've been in and has allowed me to succeed. The fact is, if I was working for any other radio show in the capacity that I worked for yours and his for all those years, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to break out, because most other radio show hosts keep their people down. You know, They don't kind of open it up. So I've always been appreciative of that. And I mean, I would like to think that he was not. Look, it sounded like he was referring to both of us as sharks. I don't think that there's any way that would be justified, because he never asked me to do a show with him. He didn't even ask me to come in and guest, which I was fine with. You know, I guested once on his show, and I told him, look, whenever you need me, whenever, blah, 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 I want to come in. And like, he was like, okay, but he went on and did his thing. I did my thing, and that was totally fine. And I was fine with it. But at that point, I was like, okay. And when you contacted me and were like, hey, Opie's not going to be around, but I'm going to be doing shows. Do you want to come in and do a show with me?
I was doing those morning shows.
Yeah, earlier in the summer. I said, yeah, of course. Like, and by the way, I would have done it for him too. And now that we enjoy each other's company and enjoy doing a show together, and I've had you on my show too, by the way, and that there could be opportunities to do something in the very near future, of course that's something that we would want to take advantage of. But there's nothing sort of underhanded about it. There hasn't been an ounce of scheming.
We have the same agent. Yeah. He knew I wanted to do mornings. He wanted to do afternoons. Opie had fought for afternoons. When me and Ant were bucking against it, because Ant, for him, the traffic would have been horrendous. And for me, my travel, and it's just hard for me to do afternoons because I miss shows. But it wasn't like we were like, get him out of the morning spot. Him and Tim Sabian, they were fighting and actively lobbying to do afternoons. And that was a couple years ago. And me and Ant didn't want to do it. And we wound up not doing it. Whenever he has secret shows, he does them in the afternoon. And they actually sound good. Like, so it's like, it's a comfortable fit. And so I told Bob when we were doing this, I want to do mornings. I like being in the mornings, and I hate getting up. But the bottom line is, if I'm shooting something, maybe I can get a call time in a noon call time.
But by the way, for you to say, whatever I'm doing next, I want to do in the morning, that's not, like, why wouldn't you say that? Like, what would possibly be wrong with you saying, this is what I would like to do?
Absolutely, that's exactly it.
And being kind of transparent about it, not like, look, how do we figure out how to get, like, this isn't a fucking House of Cards. You know what I mean? This is like, hey, here's what I want, crystal clear.
And so I wanted to stay in the mornings because, again, as much as I hate waking up, selfishly, it's like, look, I shoot things, and a lot of times you can get a call time. Sometimes your call time is 7 in the morning. Okay, it is. But a lot of times you can get an 11 o'clock or a noon call, and then you can still do some radio and go and do that. But there's no way, if I'm doing an afternoon show, there's no way I just missed the day. Or when I travel to do a gig. A lot of times I would leave at 9:15, 10 o'clock, come in and do 2 hours. A lot of times Opie would go, how come you don't just take the day? You know, because he loved when I wasn't here. So, but I didn't want to take the day. It's like, this is my fucking job. This is not a hobby. This is what I do. I like doing this. I enjoy being here. I enjoy being funny on fucking radio. So I would come in for 2 hours and then go. And by the way, when I'm saying he enjoyed when I wasn't here, it's true. But it's not even a fuck you to him because we weren't clicking. And he felt that, and I felt that. And, you know, it's easy just to blame him, but he'll have a reason and go, no, I would look at Jimmy, and he's doing this or that. There's two sides to that, and I'm not being just, you know, Mr. Diplomatic. It's like I can't be mentally ill enough to think that it's not me, too. You know what I mean? Of course, it's part of the problem is me. But I like knowing I can do a little bit of radio and then travel to do a gig and not miss the whole fucking show. I don't want to miss entire shows when I don't have to. I can't fly out for a Thursday show in Minneapolis. I can't fly out of here at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Especially if you're trying to launch something away from Opie, right? Because then you'd be it'd be more of you. It wouldn't be you just kind of being there like, okay, I can duck out. Opie's got this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, you want something that you can be there for.
Yeah. So, you know, I didn't take that as he's saying to me and Sam are pieces of shit, but it was absolutely a reference to, at least I felt it was.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, that's just not the way it went down. You know, when I found out, you know, I always thought Tim Sabian wanted me gone. I got the same vibe over at K-Rock. You know, but Tim, I felt really did. Tim denies that, but I'm not stupid. Like one time I went to do a gig. I left like an hour early, and Tim sent out an email to all of the I think I've talked about this on the air, but like, you know, to Gary and goes, do we pay him when he leaves like this? And so I texted Tim, and I'm like, hey, if you have a question about my finances, you can be a man and ask me. I'll answer you. I'm not going to lie to you. And he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean it, you know. But it's like, that's the idea. He said, no, I was just checking. No, you weren't. No one is just checking. Do we pay? What do you think? I don't know how to read the fucking tone of an email? So there was that kind of vibe. And it's like, again, I know we weren't seeing eye to eye. But when I found out he was trying to, and again, I'm not even saying it was like some fucking Shakespearean play. But when someone's like, would you do 2 or 3 days a week or whatever? It's like, you want to swap me out with Chris or Sherrod or Vic. I love those guys. Those guys have gotten a really hard time by some of the fans. And it's like, I think all those guys are funny, man. I've known those guys as stand-ups. I genuinely like them. And I respect them, or I would never have invited them in. But when it comes to being here, I think I'm better at that. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for a long time, and I think I'm when left uncuffed. I think I'm very funny on the radio, and I'm not being a cocky douchebag by saying that. But that kind of thing made me very
been doing
defensive.
it for what? 12 years? 15 years?
15 years.
15 years.
But that made me very fucking like, okay, if that's how it's going to be, then this is what I want.
Right.
You know, I want the morning, and I can't make them give me the morning. I really can't. There's no guarantee.
No, it's not. Yeah.
We're not in any, and the fans have been going, why the vagary? Because literally, I just honestly finally got my contract signed last night, and they have not said you're absolutely doing this, but they have not. Or I would tell you. You think we don't want to tell you?
Here's the thing. When all this stuff happens, all parties involved have to end up on the same page. So if everybody involved isn't on the same page yet, and that could be one person, how can anybody make an announcement?
Yeah, and I don't like my life being tied to anybody else.
Right.
It annoys me. You know, Opie's Opie and I'm me. And I'm sure he doesn't want to be tied to me either. But, you know, if I had to choose, I prefer the mornings, and I don't know why he wouldn't want to do afternoon. Maybe he does. I mean, again, he may want to do that. I honestly don't know. We have not talked. The last text was just that text I sent him, and he sent me back. So I thought it might be his mom or something when his, you know, our last show together, he just doesn't come. So I'm assuming something was really genuinely wrong. So that's it. I mean, if people have any comments or questions, call up. We'll answer them. I just don't know the answer to a lot of the questions. Not being vague with you.
No, we do because we don't know. We don't know. And like, you know, honestly, all I wanted to do was figure out what's next, start doing it, and thank Opie for every position he's ever put me in to succeed.
I've been look, my entire career since I've met those guys, Opie and Anthony, I have been extremely There's never been an interview I've done where I didn't credit those guys. There's never been, I think 2 or 3 of my specials, I made the networks allow me to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
So I think I've been thankful enough, and I've proven my loyalty, and I've proven the fact that I was grateful. I've said it enough fucking times. They know. It was both of them. You know what I mean? It was Opie and it was Anthony. Opie's the one who brought me on. But, then it was Ant for a long time. And we also had all this tension. Anthony is just as big a part of that for me as Ope was. But again, I would never deny that, and I've been pretty public about my gratitude for it.
Right. And it gets
but I also contributed to it. You know what I mean? And I mean that without arrogance, but I know I contributed to the success of that show. Like, when I came on the Opie and Anthony show, it was a funny show, and it was a popular show. They'd done great in Boston. They were doing well in New York. But that show was never like the first show they had in Philly ever I was on. I was already on the show. So they were never syndicated before I was there. So, I felt like I was a part of them growing and succeeding as well.
Yeah. 866-969-1969. Let's go to, I guess, Birdman on Long Island. What's up, Birdman? No.
Heartbreaking, man. This is terrible. But what are you going to do? Life's got to move on, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Hey, Jimmy, why don't you just give him a call?
Why? No, it doesn't work. Why?
No, I'm just saying, man. He's got fucking pride. He ain't going to call.
Well, then that's good. God bless him. I don't behave that way with other men. Like, why don't I just... No. Absolutely not. Under this, not that I wouldn't talk to him if he came in. I'd sit and talk to him. But, I mean, there's no need for me to go, hey, man, I'm not doing that under any circumstance. There's no need for it. I'm a fucking 48-year-old man. I'm not going to call somebody else who I think doesn't want to call me. Or maybe he's just dealing with the agent and that's how he wants to do it. That's cool, too. You think
he's going to retire after this?
No, I don't think he wants to retire, to be honest. And he hasn't been fired. People who don't like him think they canned Opie. They didn't fire Opie. Look, I know you didn't, but you like him. There's people who hate him or are happy, but he hasn't been fired.
Here's the thing. I would assume he'll be back here. I don't know. I haven't talked to him at all. My guess, based on the fact that we've lived through several contract negotiations, I would assume he'll be back here. And I think if he were to come back here, it could be a very positive announcement that all the shows that would launch at that time would be able to be like, hey, good news, everybody. Here are the shows. They're going to be good shows. They're going to be this is good news. And so the fact that it's been kind of shrouded with all this stuff is like, it's shittiness. And there's not a specific reason for it when, honestly, there's an easy road to go down where everybody succeeds. And
the reality is this, you got to understand something too, Birdman. Like, I know you're a fan of the show and, you're a loyal supporter of the show. But, when somebody is your boss for all these years, the bottom line, Opie would hate when I would say that, but the reality was he had the ability, if not to get me fired after a certain point, to make my life miserable by being the guy in charge. And he was. And now he is not my boss. So, I mean, again, it's not that people are like, wow, Greg Shell's, you afraid of? Oh, it wasn't about that. It's like when somebody has the ability in a work situation with a gig you love to do that, you have to be, but it was never about being afraid of arguing. I'm always afraid of what I'm going to say. I'm not afraid to argue with anybody. Certainly not. It's like I'm afraid that I'm going to say things that I cannot take back. And he may have been afraid of the same thing. You get fucking pissed off.
When you get pissed off, you say something you regret saying it, then you're gonna fuck yourself.
And Jimmy tends to get angry when he argues.
Yeah, and it's like as far as that is concerned, man. Whatever he does, if he comes back and everything is good and it's nice, then great, man. I'm not gonna fucking blow up on the guy, and I don't think he's gonna blow up on me. And we'll have a good time on the same channel. But I said I don't want to be on the same channel anymore. Like I don't want anybody. If we separate, I don't want him to have any influence over my life at all. And I'm sure he felt the same way. Again, it wasn't like Opie's going, come on, Jim, let's pal up. And I'm going, no, it was mutual. He would tell you the same thing. He's having a good time with Chris and with Sherrod and Vic. And I'm not saying that's shitty. Those are guys he's enjoying, and fair enough. I'm enjoying other people as well. So
Yeah, but you make the fucking show, Jimmy. It's you that makes the fucking show. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, look, man, he
For me, at least, it was, entertaining. Put it that way.
Thank you very much. He and I, look, we grow apart humor-wise. There's a lot of fans who hate Uncle Paul, and that was a big sticking point for me too. Was that not Uncle Paul? But it's whenever you're doing something that, like, I've never tried to stop someone from being funny, and when I do Uncle Paul, yeah, it's creepy. It's the cringiest thing I can do. But I've listened back to those Uncle Paul bits, and I've literally laughed out loud.
It's a little egotistical.
It doesn't. I know it sounds crazy, but it doesn't sound like me. Like, I don't connect that to Jim Norton. I listen. It's just creepy and stupid. Interrupting, sure, answering questions in open air. We're just trying to talk. There's no connection to the way I feel. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm such a non-pedo.
Right.
Like, there's zero connection to my real sexuality.
And even if you were a pedo, you'd know enough not to bring it up in public conversations.
I'm a pedo, as in P-E-T-O. I love animals. Sam's laughing over there.
No, I'm not. You would hear it if I was.
But you know what I mean? Like, so for him to get uncomfortable with that or not like it, I get you don't think it's funny. That's totally cool. But if I'm the guy saying it, and there's zero connection to my sexuality or zero connection to who I really, then I wouldn't know why that would make anyone else uncomfortable because they have a family. So what?
But by the way, there's a
Travis has kids. You know that's not who I am. It's like, fucking, come on.
Sure.
Huh? Uncle Paul has met my daughter more times than Jim has met my daughter.
Okay, that's no good. Again, this is
Uncle Paul
makes me want to call specific agencies.
Well, that's just because Jim's socially awkward.
Uncle Paul knew you when you was a baby. Introduced your mother to a rabbi.
By the way, that? You set the whole thing in motion.
By the way, that is Jim's social default. He's so socially weird that he's like, okay, I don't really know how to act around the kid. Oh, I'll do the pedophile character.
But it's just to make the adult laugh. But the point I'm making by saying that is, like, when he would get weird with that or uncomfortable with that, or like lobby to have that to have that not included in best ofs. It's like, hey man, maybe you don't like it, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's not like, whoa.
It makes it tough for you creatively.
It makes it very tough for me creatively. Because even though that makes people uncomfortable, there's nothing real about it. So you're just interrupting a joke or stopping a joke that you object to.
But by the way, that's something to acknowledge, right? And I felt like it had been acknowledged. You had been public about the fact that you were not happy doing that show.
Sure.
You'd said it when it was an appropriate thing to say. You'd said it on your advice show multiple times. Sure. And it was not a hostile thing. It was like, okay, you don't like this. I get it, but it's tough to do my job if I can't do this, so we need to figure out how to do things separately.
Absolutely.
Which seemed, by the way, from an outsider's perspective, like, okay, it could be amicable. Like, you could still both do what it is that you want to do, and it could be fine.
Yeah. So just, again, that's, and again, any comments or questions people have, we'll answer to the best of our ability. But no one is holding back. Like, I know the fans want answers too, but there's certain things we can't tell you because, again, I don't, and also certain announcements. I know it sounds stupid. Like, I'm shooting a special. I have a new date in New York. I'm just trying to confirm the theater, which I'm very fucking psyched about.
It's very vague.
But I'm not even allowed to announce the people I'm shooting for, because when you sign a contract, they give a press release. It's just the way it works. It's not that I don't want to. I have a if I've told you I've fucking held dicks in my mouth, you think I don't want to tell you what I'm doing career-wise? Did I say that or just think it?
Yeah, because I didn't know that.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, I've tried to hold nothing back. I've tried to hold nothing back.
Of course, but it's like...
When you should have held that back.
Yeah, no, we didn't. You could have just illustrated. I've been very honest. Yeah. You want to kind of introduce things on your terms, right? And set things up in a positive way, not, on YouTube.
Yeah.
But so be it. Mike in North Carolina, you're on with
Yes,
Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
I just want to say how sad I was to hear about the show ending, because I was a big fan and that was a part of my morning for about the last year. And so I was a big Opie fan. And to me, he's the one that made the show. So I'm going to have to I'm gonna have to find me another morning show to listen to, guys.
All right, or you can listen if he's on. He may still be on in the morning. He's saying he doesn't do morning radio, but if he's on, whenever he's on, he's on. I mean, you listen to him then. He's not killing himself. He's going to be on the radio
or on demand, and it's like it's fine. It's completely, and that's the point, right? That like there's a world where nobody's going away, and it's like two people who didn't want to work together, mutually, aren't.
Look, man, again, there were times where I thought the fans were very hard on us when they shouldn't have been. It was a shit situation. And there were days we had really funny shows. We had a good time together, and it wasn't like it was some fuck you fest. It really wasn't. But by and large, I mean, and he probably feels the same way. Mm-hmm. It was never a show that I was proud of. There was moments that were really funny. But it was never, you know what I mean? I knew the chemistry just wasn't good with us. He was correct about that. Mm-hmm. He really was. Him saying that early on was one of those things that probably shot us in the foot a little bit. But again, he wasn't lying. You know what I mean? That was a moment of honesty, and I can't fault him for that. So it was something I never felt amazing about. I never felt great about Anthony not being here, ever. And it felt like a dying... Like, when you have it felt like we were just the dying limbs of what was once a living, breathing thing, which is probably why I wasn't enjoying it. He wasn't enjoying it. You know what I mean? And that's why he was enjoying Chris and Sherrod and those guys, because for him, that's something fresh. That's why I enjoy working with you, or I love having I love Travis and having him chime in, and because it just feels like it's not Opie and Anthony. Yeah. It's a different show.
And it should be at this point, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
But I was going to mention that Travis, less with the chiming. I'm not as big a fan.
Yeah, those days are dead and gone. But I mean,
Travis, if you're going to say something, if you're going to react, mic off.
Yeah, every time we play Hava and Aquila, he pipes in, I hate that song, we know.
He's crying.
I had a meeting with Jim.
With who?
I had a meeting with Jim, and we want you to be like Mike Francesa's producer. No. You respond to my earphones, and I will talk to you, but the audience will not hear your voice.
Oh. Yeah. You'll say things out loud?
Yeah. Have you heard him get into arguments with his producer?
It's the best.
Yeah, I mean, the technology does allow for that.
It's not a thing. And whoever created the Teftism Twitter account, it's not a thing.
Is there a Teftism Twitter account? I've not seen that.
Because it's not a thing.
Okay.
We do. I'm glad we're bringing the technology to the morning.
Well, technically speaking. Fucking piece of garbage.
He is.
Teftidiums. Oh, no, Teftidiums. That's very funny. Teftidian is what we're doing in the studio.
A Teft saved is a Teft earned.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. No, it's right. That's
Tefting
right.
all over.
What?
Good Tefting grounds.
Phil in Dayton. You're on with Jim
Dayton's
Norton.
Not empty.
Morning, guys.
Sam Roberts.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, guys.
Good evening.
I just, or evening, wherever you might be listening from. I was just thinking, I now feel like I'm kind of repeating what you guys just said, so I apologize. But I do feel one of the biggest travesties I think in radio in general was.
Is that a pun on Travis's first name?
Maybe. What was the breakup of Anthony and Opie and Jim? I really miss the days when it was Whip 'em Out Wednesdays and Lil Jim Norton with Opie and Anthony. It was some of the best radio I've ever listened to, and I learned who Jim Norton was from there. And Jim, now you're one of my favorite comedians on earth.
Thank you.
I have noticed over the years since Anthony's gone that the chemistry just isn't there anymore, and I actually sort of look forward to new and refreshing from all of you guys.
Right.
So,
I think I'm better working with other people, and I heard some of Ope's afternoon shows when he does these pop-up shows. No one told him to do the afternoon; he just decided to. And he seemed comfortable and loose and free, and he was enjoying himself. Like, it's just, when two people are in that situation, it's like you're better off both just doing what you want to do and not being tied to each other anymore.
Yeah, and Opie's good. And Opie's got more of an ability than anyone to carry a show. I mean, nobody's sitting here competing. You know what I mean? Like Jim and I would not be sitting in the seats that we're in had it not been for him. And everybody knows that, and that's very, very public. It's just, I don't know why this got framed the way it got framed when it's like,
yeah, no one is a victim of people plotting against them. You know, I was ready to sign in mid-August. And the only reason is Andrew and Scott were on vacation, and then I went to Australia, and it was just a whole bunch of stuff. You know, but I wasn't holding out till the last minute. I actually had a fairly decent negotiate. You know what I mean? It was like...
But I think everybody's doing what they should be doing, which is just minding their own business. Like, you were signing your deal because you want what's best for you.
Yeah.
And me for me, and Opie for Opie, and... I mean, I don't know if anybody wants what's best for Travis, but...
What do you mean?
No, don't even worry about it. But,
yeah, least of all, Jesus.
Let me go to Steve in Connecticut.
Yes!
Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
Hey guys.
What's
Hello.
up, buddy?
Good morning.
Hello.
I had a great opportunity to see Jim at Foxwoods back in February. It was actually a cool birthday gift for my girlfriend. So, and I got a chance to take a picture with Jim. So I got to say, Jim, I really appreciate you taking time for your fans at the end of your shows.
Thank you.
I think
Fan.
that's great. Yeah, well, the one fan.
Yeah, singular.
The question I had is, you know, I noticed in the beginning of the show they introduced you and said either sponsored by or brought to you by SiriusXM. And my question is, you know, does Opie get a piece of any of your road gigs when it's like a Sirius sponsored or brought to you by event?
And absolutely not. No, and I don't get a piece of his YouTube videos, which I'm featured in a lot of. No, we don't. Of course not. I mean, I'm the one doing the stand-up and writing the material. So why would he?
Well, I thought maybe because, you know, being part of the show was like the platform.
No. Come on. And any more that I get those guys made a shit. He still makes a lot more money than me. And I mean, and again, he's been around longer, fine. But if they said, we'll pay you Opie and Anthony's salary if they get a piece of my road gigs, I'd have split the road gigs 50-50. But no, SiriusXM sponsoring has nothing to do with Opie.
Right.
So no, he does not, and I've never gotten any of the YouTube money. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, you guys do your own separate things.
Absolutely. My stand-up, I was a stand-up before I met those guys. But in honesty, they never expected that or asked for it either.
Right. So, like, you know, the history of when I started listening to the show, you know, I was a Howard fan, and I, you know, ordered XM.
Jump out of that! No, I'm just kidding.
And I happened to just stumble across a show, and Anthony was on it, and then I heard of you, and I was like, oh my God, because I love comedy, and, you know, I really started listening to the show to listen to you.
Well, thank you.
And then, you know, I heard the argument that you guys had, and I was like, here's the beginning of the end. But And part of me, just selfishly, and I don't know if I could speak for all fans, but, you know, I was like, well, if this ends, where am I going to get my Jimmy fix? You know, I would come and see you every single time you're in the New England area because I can drive to it. But, you know, every day hearing your wit is something that I really enjoy listening to.
I'm waiting for that.
And I have an hour to do every day. It bummed me out when I heard that argument because I started thinking, like, here it is. Here's the end. You know, first Anthony leaves, now it's Jimmy. So I'm glad to hear that you're working something out, whether it's with Sam or, you know, I think even Travis is pretty good on the radio, too.
Yeah, in all honesty, what did he say?
He said, "Thank you, caller."
Yeah, I think Travis has been is valuable to the show. I really mean that. Like, I really love having him on. So, yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's nice of you to say, and thank you.
Yeah, well, good luck. I'll still continue to listen as long as you're on the radio.
All right, buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, our on-air argument. And again, this is not some, I mean, look, I don't want this to be some big, nasty falling out. And it's not something I'm afraid of, to be real, because now, at all.
But it just doesn't have
to be that way. I would feel bad having, like, a legitimate gloves-off fucking argument with Opie, because it's like you don't want to say things to each other that can never be taken back. Because when at the end of, I don't say the end of the day, but I really do look back on the history of the show. And it's like, man, I don't want to not bump into him with his wife and have this uncomfortable. Like, I want to be able to say, hey, man, how you doing? And how's your show going? Like, I don't want it to be like, and it's not a fear thing. If I'm not afraid to argue with Jesse Ventura sitting right next to me, I'm not afraid to argue with someone who's, fucking, 175 pounds.
Right.
It's not about being afraid, especially if he can't get me fired.
But it's not like...
But I don't want that.
And it's not like you hated each other forever, and it's not like he never made you laugh, and it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, there are pleasant things to look back on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of nice moments. And again, I'm not just being PC. No one has told me don't talk about this. I called them yesterday, and I told them I'm addressing this today, and they're like, okay. Like, they didn't care,
Right.
Like, you can't not. I'm never going to not go, okay, guys. You can't do that.
And I don't think anybody wants to hear a show where you don't, right?
No. But, that's why I don't want it to go down some fucking horrible or shit road. If it does, again, then that's where it will go.
Right.
But I would prefer not.
Shane in Indiana.
Hashtag fully erect dicks out for Norton.
That's right.
Wait, what did he say?
He said hashtag fully erect dicks out for Norton.
Thank you very much.
He's a nighttime listener.
I don't want to don't dump the call. I don't want to push any buttons, but I don't really get the whole going to aquarium with the sharks in a reference. The way I see it is you are like a fucking jackass, and Sirius hooked their card up to 2 workhorses. I mean, Jimmy, you never missed a fucking day of work. Sammy, you started as an intern and built one hell of a fucking radio show. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer which way Sirius was going to fucking go.
Well, they're not going. In all honesty, Opie is not out.
Yeah, I think they're going all ways.
He's they remind me of myself in that way. He's he has that's the type of wit you get in the morning. No, but he has for him, he's negotiating. It's not like they've said sit down, kid. He's negotiating. But yeah, the days I've missed have always been, and I'll say this in my own defense. I don't think I've taken a sick day. I can't remember the last time
you come to the fucking studio with your luggage and you waited till the last minute to fucking catch a flight.
Yeah.
And he flat out said, "Oh, if I got a hangnail, I'll call off." Whatever, dude. For a couple of real quick points, if we could name the show, what about Fireside Chats by the Burning Cross?
That's if Ant joins us.
And then, a picture. Yesterday you guys were talking about pictures, sitcom pictures for the crew. I think you should go with, Give Me a Break. Jimmy, you can be, the dad. Sammy, you can be little Joey Lawrence. Travis can be whatever the other fucking kid there was, because there was no mom in the picture. And E-Rock can be Fat on No Carter.
Thank you, Shane. I feel like Shane was just... Oh, sorry, buddy.
Sorry.
I feel like Shane was just saving up his insults for everybody.
Yes, he was. He started off all nice, and then he goes, I don't mean to do it, and then he just unloads.
We'll take a couple more, and then we'll move on to something else. But Tom in Philly.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hello, Tom.
How are you?
Good, buddy.
I want to start off by saying congratulations, Jimmy. I think, just like the couple callers before, I, too, listened to Howard for quite a long time. And coming over and just hearing Jimmy, I mean, I've been on and off Opie and Anthony, but in the last year, especially, it's been Jimmy mainly that's kept my attention.
Thank you.
Just your quick wit, the funny stuff, the interjections in between some of the conversations, definitely made my experience want to stick with the show. And I found myself gravitating almost all my mornings over to the Opie and Jimmy show. And, when I heard the argument earlier this year, I got a little nervous as well and said, well, I hope Jimmy shows up somewhere else. So to hear the fact that you're going to be staying is a huge relief.
Thank you. And again, the truth is, if he wants to stay, is staying as well. We're just not doing it together. And I'll be much happier. And so will he. You know what I mean? This is not something where he's a victim. I mean, he will be he started this ball rolling, but he wasn't wrong. It wasn't a wrong thing to do.
I'm sure if you talk to Opie, there were things that he wanted to do on the show that you would, the same way your characters couldn't get over. There were probably things that he wanted to do that he didn't feel that you would get over.
He's correct, too, I'm sure.
Right.
Although I'll say this for myself, I never interfere with someone being funny. I just don't.
Right, but you will shut down if you don't like something.
You know, my opinion
but not. But
not. But you
I
won't.
can't control it.
Yes. You're right.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever really, and at least in the last year, has valued the weight that you've brought to the show. He almost seems resentful in some aspects, and that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. No, I love Opie, but I think he should have publicly put some more value into you, Jimmy.
He admitted at one point too. He did. He felt a kind of. When me and Ant were going back and forth, that he felt like it kind of wasn't his show. Like, I understood that too, that he had built up some resentment against us having, I don't know if you're designated, or in your mind you're designated as, well, you're the straight guy on the show. He hated being called the bus driver, or whatever term you want to use, and you begin to resent that and not enjoy it. And you're like, instead of every time you're guiding things and kind of helping them move along, instead of enjoying that, if you resent it, and the other guys, you're like, I want to be the comedic force on it, then you're not going to enjoy doing the show anymore. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, if he began to resent that role, then yeah, maybe that's where a lot of the resentment came from.
I think it's important people be aware of their roles. That's why the only thing I'm waiting on to sign my contract with Sirius is contractually I want to be referred to as the comic relief for the show. And I think that's where I'm being used most.
Here's what you are on the show.
Tell me.
If this show was black and white, you'd be a little girl in a red dress.
Frank in Indiana. What's up, Frank?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, man.
I'm huge fans of both of you. I've been huge fans of O&A for a long time. I was not a huge fan of Opie and Jim.
Yes.
And I think the bottom line is that this is the best possible situation after Anthony was fired. Opie is not funny. He's not particularly good at radio. I don't know who listens to him, just in the morning, but you guys are the best. And this is a huge success. We're really looking forward to hearing you guys.
Well, thank you. If they do have us together, and look, man, obviously it's what I want to do. But again, I can't speak for them, and I've dealt with these guys for a long time, and I'm never going to get too excited about something until it's real or you know what I mean. I've learned that too. Like, I signed the deal and I was okay, and then they're like, well, we got to fix this. I'm ugh. But in honesty, dude, and I'm not saying this in false humility. There are people who will listen just for Opie. There are people who have a fucking family who relate to Opie a lot more than they relate to me. They find me abrasive. I have a lot of people that hate my fucking guts. I'm not delusional as to thinking that I'm fucking, Mr. Superstar who everybody loves. But dude, it hurt my stand-up business. That show. And I know some people didn't like my stand-up, but I watched my draw even drop in a lot of cases. And I think a couple of things is people weren't listening to our show in the morning like they were to Opie and Anthony, obviously. And I think people just didn't associate it or associate me with something they were enjoying anymore. It reminded them of something they weren't enjoying in the morning. It reminded them of something that used to be great and was no longer great. So I think that it was it's almost like, it was a relationship that had to separate. It was a relationship that had to separate for, I think, for both of us.
And look, that's a tough part, too, that, like, Opie and Anthony as a show is 3 parts. Opie, Anthony, and Jim. When you remove one part of that, it becomes difficult to reinvent what is 2/3 of a show. Yeah. And a fan is going to sit there and be constantly reminded of it's not a new thing. No matter how hard you try, It's just not. And it's going to take a long time to be a new thing, if ever. And I think that the only way to do it is to kind of split the parts and create some new.
Yeah, especially when you pull the funniest part out of it.
Yes.
And that really is. Ant was the funniest part of the show. I know I'm funny. I mean, I'm not questioning. Ant's a different level of radio funny. Mm-hmm. He just is. I mean, it's not even. There's not a comic alive that wouldn't tell you that who's worked with the guy. He's just a different level of radio funny. I mean, I'm great at firing out one-liners and blah blah, blah, but he could literally walk you through putting in an air conditioning fucking ductwork and be interesting.
Right.
You know, I joke a lot of times. I always say if on 9/11, if I had made it out of the fucking 110th floor, I'd lose people halfway through the story. I'm a terrible fucking storyteller. I just don't have that gift. It's not what I do.
I like that, you're a terrible storyteller, but you'll still come in and, tell a story about, just mundane life shit. Just
once in a while I like to.
I got new windows yesterday. I was on...
those are more complaints. I'm a great complainer. I'm a great sniveler and kvetcher. I'm not a good storyteller. But Ant, to his credit, I mean, he's just, he's a very unique guy in that he can be so fucking funny. And, is he slightly insane? Yeah. He's kind of crazy. Is he volatile? Yes. He would tell you that. But as far as broadcasting, and when he's having fun in broadcast, he's just, there's nobody like him. He's a genius.
Jason in California.
Hey, what's up, guys? Is this the new Shark Tank or Swimming with a Shark?
Fucking home run, Jason. What are you on Friday the 15th or something?
It's not the name of the movie.
No, it is. Fuck yeah.
No, it isn't.
Piece of garbage.
It makes no sense. It's not even a thing.
Yeah. Travis and the school shooter were laughing in there.
Damn it, Skipper.
Jason, do you have a point, or are you just here to get Chip excited?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
No, I just like to hear Chip. I don't have a point at all. If Opie didn't want to be the bus driver, then he should be more funny.
Well, it's easy to say, honestly, but when I look back at the old, the comfort level he and I used to have together, literally when we were off the air, dude, Opie and I would travel together. We really were very, very close friends, and we had a good time together, and it was just there was zero discomfort between us. And I don't know when that started. I think when we came back on satellite at one point, it did things change for him, or maybe I changed, whatever it is, but it just started slowly. Or maybe when me and Ant started really going back and forth, he felt a little left out, which he didn't have to. It was never about us looking at it like fuck him. We were, he might have felt that way, but we weren't looking at him that way.
And I was, as everybody knows, very close to Opie for a long time.
Yeah.
Years. I mean, spending time with his family, with his kid, the whole deal, all the time. And I think everybody knew that. But something did, and we never had a falling out whatsoever. I still consider him a friend. I haven't talked to him in a long time, and things changed a little bit when Anthony left, and I think he started to maybe change how he handled his inner circle or whatever. And that's his prerogative, and I always took it as his prerogative. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Let me go to. But yeah, so I didn't talk to him the way we used to talk for, probably a year or more.
Yeah. It was just
maybe two.
The idea of the shark thing, almost like being a victim of people doing that. That's simply not the way it is.
Yeah,
I was not going to be squeezed out. And I'm not saying he wanted me fired. Let me clear this. I think that literally he just wanted me to have another show too. And he said something about it'd be like a promotion. But the bottom line is he just didn't want me here as many days. But I don't think he wanted to be fired. And I don't think he was trying to have me thrown off of Sirius. And I'm not putting that out there.
No.
But I also know how to read the writing on the wall. When you're in front of an audience every night, you have to kind of see what you feel the room really well. Mm-hmm. You have to. If a guy yells at you, you have to immediately understand why he's yelling at you. Is he having fun? Is he trying to chime in? Is he trying to hurt me because he hates my guts because I'm making his day? You learn to make fucking snap judgments quickly.
Right.
So, I'm not an idiot.
And I won't speak for you, but I would love to simply be consistently, publicly grateful to Opie. I would love nothing more than just to that be the only thing.
People would get tired of it if that's all you were.
Yeah. You know who's great?
Yeah, but I've also...
But I was going to say, but it makes it difficult to do that when there's videos like that coming out. That's like the implication is that I'm a shark as well. And it's like, no, I don't even know why my name has to be in the video.
Yeah. You're a bottom feeder.
Exactly.
Big bottom. But, hey, look, man, I've gone on the, very few people have defended Opie like I have. Like when the Cake Stomp video was going crazy and I was on fucking Rogan and all these places explaining like this was the tone of what it was like. Because it was true. That was the tone. But, I haven't exactly been a fucking, just take either. I've given back and I've been eternally grateful, and I've been very, very vocal about that my entire career, from the moment it began up until this point, I've been very vocal about that.
We got a Chad in New Orleans. Chad.
Hey. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, buddy.
All right. Hey, I just wanted to say, look, the Opie and Anthony show was awesome. It had its run. The Opie and Jim show, I thought it was great. I listened every morning, made me laugh. But I was really excited to hear about the Kirk Simmons and Sam show.
I don't know if that's the official.
We're hoping that if it happens, it's going to be awesome, Saz.
I promise you it won't happen.
I'm really excited for that. I think the show was fresh. I mean,
I hate the way Kirk says awesome, by the way. He says awesome.
Well, he's happy.
Sorry, Chad.
I just
go on.
wanted to say I'm excited you guys are doing
All right, your phone's breaking up. But look, yeah. Jim and I are doing a show today. We're doing a show tomorrow. We're going to see what happens next week. But obviously, I love doing this, and I appreciate the opportunity. And, it is what it is. So
yeah, it's fun.
It's fun. That's the point, right?
Yeah. And when I've heard him in the afternoon, he was having fun.
Right.
Yeah, honestly. Right. And again, I'm not being across the board, hey, let's be nice about it. It's the truth.
Right.
If I have a reason to be aggressive, I'll be a complete cunt, believe me.
You will?
Yeah. A complete cunt. But that's not called for right now. I think at this point he's frustrated and he's just fighting to get a contract that he's had. I get that. I mean, it's like, it's not easy when you're constantly negotiating. And if you're not, and again, I don't even know what they're offering him. I don't even want to know. I literally don't, because it's just going to bug me because it's more than me. But if he's not getting what he wants, I get that he's annoyed. Yeah. It's a part of negotiating.
Right.
But it doesn't have to degenerate into some fucking... But, and people who work here have to understand that the audience that we've attracted over the years, you can't brush over this stuff and not address it. You can't. Because they hate you if you don't address it.
Yes, of
Sometimes
course.
they hate you if you do address it. But you can't not... a lot of the fans who have turned against us, some are just irrational and crazy, and some are extraordinarily perceptive and right about a lot of it, even the unpleasant shit. Mm-hmm. They're not dumb. So, they understand a lot of the dynamics that we have to talk about it when we know it. But
yeah.
As far as any announcements are concerned, believe me, as soon as we have something concrete, you'll know.
Yeah, and it's not like it's fun to not be able to make any announcements.
Absolutely.
All we want to do is know what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm figuring out who I am. Oh, different things.
Just professionally. That's what I'm talking about. There's no personal anything.
And we have, just so you know, we have other guests today. Whenever they come in, we're happy to have the Impractical Jokers are coming in. And I'm really happy that Joanna Jacek is coming in. People get weird with the fighters. Sometimes they like them, sometimes they hate them. Cowboy was fucking awesome.
Cowboy was awesome. And, look, I'm also a strong proponent of let's get the fighters in and talk to them. I think they're interesting. I think what they do is interesting. And... fight fans are going to love it too. So I
enjoy it. I enjoy most of them.
And guess what? I'm going to get wrestlers in here too. So we'll see.
Wrestlers are always good interviews.
Yeah,
they're great on the mic. They're always like Foley and fucking Jericho and any of those guys we've had in are tremendous.
Yeah,
tremendous.
Yeah. All right, so we'll take a break. Was there
any other calls we had to get to or no?
No, I mean, the phone banks are full, but they're all, just kind of talking about it, but we've given all the information we have.
Okay.
But, number one, the Impractical Jokers will be here very soon. Also, did you hear Trump say that he was not sniffling?
No, I did read that. He said it was the mic, but at one point he said the mic was...